Hello and welcome along to Mondo Chelloveck Movies. My name is John, and this video is going to be a look through 3 upcoming 4Ks from 88 films in the Italian Collection range. These are the Italian Collection number 1, Night Train Murders from 1975. This is the one that started the whole ball rolling. This is a Section 2 banned video nasty. Next is Spine number 21, Short Night of Glass Dolls from 1971. And last up, Spine number 46, 1984's Rats Night of Terror. And when these were announced, I was over the moon because these are 3 of my favourite titles from the Italian collection. And I'll take you through them one by one. What I will do is I will show you some screenshots on here so you can get a bit of an idea what they look like on these previous Blu-rays. But do know that the 4Ks will be getting a new 4K remaster done, especially for the upcoming releases. First up is Night Train Murders from 1975. This is a Section 2 banned video nasty. And as me and Nige talk about all the time, we can't believe this is a Section 2 and not a Section 1 banned video nasty, because this movie is really brutal. Now think of it as Last House on the Left on a train and you're halfway there. This is really over the top, I find. I think this is more brutal than the actual Last House on the Left, which is brutal in parts. I'm not saying it's not. And the story is really close to the original Last House on the Left, which obviously this is an Italian kind of rip-off in a way. But I really like what they've done with it. They've changed the focus of this slightly to the train environment, and it works quite well. You get the usual gang who are in here are really despicable, and I've talked about this before. I really like a gang who are out for what they're out for, to be the worst type of miscreants that you can ever imagine. Last House on the Left, the gang from there with Krug and Company, they paint it in a really good way, and so does the gang from this. Weirdly enough, this exploitation film is really well filmed and also directed by Aldo Lado. More about him in a minute. I've always thought this would make a great 4K. I'm quite surprised that 88 are doing it. I really did think that this was out of print. And I think sometimes when you think that things go out of print by a certain company when they've released them, then they're not able to go back to it. But I'm so glad that 88 have went back to this. And this is one of the ones, in my eyes, would look absolutely fantastic in 4K. So when it was announced, I was like, yeah, this is going to look brilliant. Because don't forget, this remaster was done 10 years ago in 2015. So it's kind of, even though it does look pretty good, I've got to admit, I've always been a fan of the way this Blu-ray looks. I do think that the 4K will look absolutely stunning because it hasn't been remastered for over 10 years. So if you like your films brutal and shocking and unforgiving, well, look no further than this. That's the Night Train Murders. Next up is Short Night of Glass Dolls, also directed by Aldo Lado. This is one of those films, when this came out, I had no idea. There's quite a few of these movies when they came out in the Italian collection I hadn't maybe heard of or not heard of at all and didn't know what I was getting into. And this was one of them. I'd know nothing about this. I have got a few films in the Italian collection that do star Jean Sorel, who stars in this film. So John Hall told me this was a really good watch, and he was right. This is kind of like a giallo with a twist. So the basic story of this one, which is really good and different, is that at the start of this movie, it's no spoilers, the lead character is found dead in a bush and he's taken to the mortuary. And the people in the mortuary are then going to do an autopsy on him. And when they're doing an autopsy on him, they realize that he's not dead, but he kind of is dead. And through this film, this lead character, he's lying there. You can hear what he's thinking because he's not dead, kind of, and they can't believe that he's kind of dead but not dead because his heart's beating but he's not alive. It's really engaging, this plot twist. Now what he's doing in typical giallo fashion, he is retracing in his mind the steps taken to get him to being found dead in that bush. And the whole movie is him trying to track down what actually happened to him while these people are wondering, is he dead or not? It's so good. It's so different. It's got a great ending as well. It's just a giallo that's like no other giallo in my eyes. And I was so glad when this was announced, because if I had my wish list, this would be on my wish list for 4Ks upgrades. Didn't think it was going to happen, as I didn't think would happen with all of these ones, but I'm so glad it is. And I can't big up this movie enough because it's one of my favorite ones in this Italian collection. It's one of my favorite ones that I knew nothing about and went into it hearing it was pretty good and being blown away by it. So that's Short Night of Glass Dolls. And last up is 1984's So Bad It's Good classic Rats Night of Terror. This is such a good film. I mean, it is really, really stupid. And the basic premise of this one is after the apocalyptic war, this is an apocalyptic drama, a bit like Mad Max. Think of Mad Max like a horror movie kind of a way. You get this gang that come into this town that's been decimated by a nuclear war. And of course, what's left in the world but rats. And that's kind of a thing that you can hear even today, that the rats might outlive people in a nuclear explosion. Now, this was the premise of this film. So this gang go into this town that's kind of taken over by rats, and gradually these rats get the better of this gang, and it's about this gang trying to get out of this place without the rats getting a hold of them. Now, it's got some great actors in here, which you'll know from the likes of Demons. They've been around the blocks, and this cast in here is so good. It's your typical Italian Mad Max cast. There's loads of them made. The ones when Mad Max was a big hit, obviously they went crazy and made loads of them. In Italy, it was a big boom for Italian cinema. And this one was a strange one because they didn't go down the normal kind of Mad Max way. They kind of injected the Mad Max element into this bike gang, into this horror film. And it is just so good. It's so funny. It's so bad. The special effects are absolutely ridiculous. The special effects, I talked about this before, when they make the rats, like a sort of plague of rats, run at the camera, you've got to see that one to believe it. And I've got to say, if you want to go for so bad endings that you just can't believe what you're seeing, look no further than Rats Night of Terror. The ending is absolutely ridiculous. I wish I could put it on the screen for you just to show you, but I don't want you to lose that amazement when you actually find out how they go with this in the end. It is just amazing. At the moment, there's no release date for these three 4Ks. It's going to be in 2025 sometime, and I cannot wait to see these. I do think that the picture quality on all of these is really good. The one in my eyes is probably going to come out the best is Night Train Murders. But I do think the Rat's Night of Terror, which is the one that should be the least quality because of the way it was sort of made, sort of ultra low budget, exploitation, schlock. I think that one's going to look good as well because it's amazing. I always talk about this. It's amazing because you look at these from the old Vipco VHS and you think of how bad they looked. And then you look at them now and you can't believe what you're seeing. And I don't think any of them being touched up with AI and all that nonsense. These are good, honest transfers. And if they've got their 35mm negatives, then you're laughing. They're going to look absolutely sensational. So roll on 2025. Now, these three have been announced, but I bet you my bottom dollar at 88, we're getting some of the old classics here and put them to the 4K standards. And hopefully they'll continue to upgrade the packaging to the level that they have for these last three releases, Anthropophagus, The Beast, Absurd, and Eyeball. So, absolutely amazing. Can't recommend these highly enough, and I can't wait to see them on 4K. So, thanks for watching. You take care, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.